Hello! So yesterday I must have been feeling pretty nostalgic because I watched Confessions of a Shopaholic. And I have watched that movie many times before, but not for a while and not with the mindset of decluttering and trying to make sense of everything you own in your life. And I have noticed some pretty interesting things that I haven't noticed before, and I wanted to share these thoughts with you because I think you can relate to that it is pretty interesting to rewatch movies that you have not seen for a while and that you liked before. You can really see how far you have come and how much you have grown since then and how much your mindset may have changed, especially since Confessions of a Shopaholic is basically about decluttering. Even the title has the word shopaholic in it, so as I've said, I have seen that movie many times, and if you haven't seen it before, then I recommend it. If you have not seen it, then I suggest you watch it before you watch this video, because otherwise it wouldn't make that much sense. And if you have previously seen this movie, but not for a while, I recommend you rewatch it. Really weird what can happen in your mind just in a few years in terms of mindset changes about everyday life things. For those of you who remember it pretty well, I'm gonna share my thoughts with you. I don't know how many of you are out there, to tell you the truth, because I feel like that this was not really a successful movie. I liked it for some reason, but since its topic is so close to what we are talking about every day, I thought it would be fun to share these thoughts with you. I have really good memories with this movie. I actually watched it for the first time with my friends at a movie marathon, and it was really good. At that time, the talking mannequins really creeped me out, but I'm okay now. So the first thing that I noticed that I haven't noticed before about this movie, the lead in this movie, Rebecca Bloomwood, and her parents are all three of them are hoarders. They are hoarders, but not in the same way. Rebecca is doing the same thing as her parents are, but with much more expensive designer items and designer clothes. So essentially the only difference in what Rebecca does and what her parents are doing is that Rebecca is doing it in order to try to make her items really nice and really valuable. So she really is just trying to make up for the repressed feeling that she had in her childhood, that she was not really getting pretty clothes and she never really got any glittery nice stuff that she wanted. I don't know if you noticed this, but her parents' house is just as filled with clutter. There's this scene at the end of the movie when the editor of the fashion magazine comes over. They are giving her a mug that has Charles and Diana's wedding on it, and the whole house is filled with similar items. They are hoarders, but they are hoarding less expensive things, and that is how they manage to save up money. The first time I saw this movie, I haven't really noticed this, and I always assumed that her parents were really just saving a lot of money and were not buying anything. But the truth is that they are going to book fairs and to flea markets all the time. So they are buying stuff, but they are doing it the cheaper way. The second thing is that the self-help DVD that Rebecca's friend gets her is not really good. At least I don't think it is. I know obviously this is not a real self-help DVD, but the way they made it, it really just encourages you to throw all your stuff out. And it doesn't suggest that you should try to make something useful with it. Especially in Rebecca's case, it would make so much sense to sell all her clothes because she has so much debt that she could finance from selling all her designer clothes. Instead of that, they are trying to make her just get rid of all of her stuff by throwing all them out. And the reason why I think it is not a good approach, because you really feel like you are wasting all that stuff and all that money. And if you feel like you have wasted so much, then maybe there is a higher chance that you will relapse into this old habit of buying lots of stuff. However, if you try to make use of those things and you will try to find an actually useful place for them, then this might take a little longer, but the advantage of that might be you will have time to really think about this whole process, because it is not easy to completely change your entire lifestyle in one day or in 1 week. While you are looking for places that actually need those clothes, you are selecting all the clothes that you want to give away, you might find really the reason within this whole decluttering thing. And especially in this movie, the girl didn't really want to get rid of all her stuff, and that is why it was not really a successful thing to do. There are a lot of instances in this movie when this occurs, that they are really trying to make these shopaholics change their lifestyles aggressively. And that is my third point. The second instructor at the Anonim Shopaholic group, well, she's really hardcore, and I don't know if that works in real life. If I remember correctly, her name was Miss Corch, and she really is just an aggressive character. And I don't know how would you feel if you went to an Anonim Shopaholic meeting, then how would you feel if someone was being that aggressive to you, even though you are just trying to really improve yourself, I guess, and you have made the effort to go there. So you have to assume that the person who is going there is going there on their own will. So you don't really have to be that aggressive. That is what I mean by that. If you are coming from a mindset of having lots and lots of clutter, then obviously getting rid of them seems excessive and seems really weird. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't use those methods. Even the KonMari method is something similar. But I always feel like you should do these things with positive mindset. So the difference between the KonMari method and the way that this woman was doing it was that the KonMari method is about finding what you love and really keeping what brings you joy and things like that, which is pretty different from crying people cutting credit cards because they have to, because that's what they've been told is gonna help. There's just a seemingly small theoretical difference in these two methods, and look how different it looks. And my last point about this movie is a bit more complex. What I really felt weird about this movie was the whole thing just doesn't seem real. And there are parts where you really think that they couldn't have thought that this was serious. The homeless woman reappearing, Agent Smith hunting down Rebecca like that. It just seems like this couldn't happen in real life. I really am trying to think the best of the makers, of the creators of this movie, and they might have not put that much thought into that, but at least what for me these small things represent, that this is not really real life. You can look at this movie and think that the creators just want to make you laugh. That might be a possibility as well, that they were just trying to make this movie more of an action movie with all those scenes where Agent Smith is chasing her. But if I assume that this is a metaphor from your own perspective of how you have managed to declutter your own life and how you managed to go through all this stuff, then sometimes these situations might not seem so unreal if you are looking at them as a metaphor. For example, the homeless woman is really just representing Rebecca herself, in my opinion. Because if you think about it, Rebecca is homeless, she doesn't have a home. She just lives at her friend who is getting married, and so she doesn't really have any place to live. She has no money. She just has crazy amounts of clothes with crazy colors. So I think that was what the crazy woman was representing. And what Agent Smith represents is really her own crazy demons that are really coming to get her eventually. And let's assume that you don't really have a credit card debt or anything like that. Then you don't really have an obligation to a system to resolve these issues, but you really have to resolve these issues with yourself. But I really felt that these chasing scenes really are just a metaphor for what you feel when you feel like you should change something in your life and you are not, and these feelings are just getting stronger. So yeah, that was my feeling about this movie. I hope that you don't mind that sometimes I make these random videos that are really about a small aspect of life. Please tell me if you had similar experience with some movies. Maybe you have recommendations for movies that are worth watching with a minimalist mindset. By the way, I love movies, I just don't really have the time to watch them now. And over the past few years, I really started to feel like I watched all the good movies and I don't really see any good movies anymore. So yeah, that is why I am not watching movies as much as I have watched before. But if you have any recommendations, then let them come. So anyway, thank you for watching this video, and have a very nice day, and I will see you tomorrow.